Oh, yeah. I'm alive. I guess that's as bright as it goes. Hi, guys. It's Alan. I was reading on Wikipedia. See, what happens is when you have these biosensors that are... Everybody's seen these TV shows in the 80s where it makes the crazy guy with the wide, or lady with the wide-eyed, the government, they can listen to my thoughts and put thoughts in my head, and, radio transmissions are pushed, in my head, and they put a microchip in my brain, and, and they've been doing this, putting this shit out on the movies and TV shows. So preparing people to, when they hear this stuff, to instantly think, oh, that's crazy talk. That's a crazy person. Stay away. And they've been putting that propaganda in everything. We, as people, we don't know how much of what we know or what we believe is pure propaganda. They don't tell us. They have an agenda, and they try to, even if you're not politically, or if you're not anti-government. And it's funny because I was reading how they did this to people who were protesters and activists and had enemies, and I literally, for the life of me, couldn't figure out. I thought, well, maybe, I remember there was a movie, it was a great movie, it was called Breach. And it was about Robert Hanssen in the FBI and how he sold secrets to the Russians. And it was an interesting movie because it's based on a true story. And he ended up, working for the Russians, and it took years for the FBI to figure it out, which he was one of the bosses in charge of finding these Russian spies. So it's an interesting, but who would ever think it's your boss? He's the guy that's in charge of finding this Russian mole, and you're knocking your head just like, who is it? We can't find it out. And it ends up, it's the guy in charge of finding the guy that's actually the mole. Now, it would be, nobody, me included, would have never thought it. It could have put another 20 years or 30 or 50 years, but I wouldn't have suspected the person in charge, who seems so gung-ho and a devout religious person. Not just Catholic, but hardcore, very, I forget the Latin term for it, sola, anyway, it's a very, very harsh, conservative type of Catholicism. I forgot the Latin term for it, but very devout, him and his wife. But at the same time, they can have other sides to their personality. And I actually thought, well, maybe I wrote the word breach, and maybe because breach has that other meaning, like an SOS, like help. And maybe I put that in the thing looking for, maybe that caused some kind of, and I'm thinking, because I had no enemies, I never did anything to hurt anybody. I had why were they doing all these weird, never heard of target individuals. Even at that time, I hadn't heard of Havana syndrome, or I had no enemies. I was nice to everybody. And the people in my hometown, Dallas, I thought were pretty good people. I didn't have enemies. They were good to me, I thought. But I was always in pain on myself, always. And I never would have believed that it was actually an implantable biosensor, intentionally done, put there on purpose to cause pain, for an experiment, just to see how long a person can do it, and to see if they can get people to go along with torture in America, in the United States, in a conservative Christian small town, 20,000 people, where even our grade schools have weekday school of the Bible. Our secular grade schools have weekday school of the Bible, and the swamp and all that. Anyway, I'm going off on that tangent again. Would never have believed it, but it happened. Still is going on. We know that 95% of the people claiming to be on the internet that were there, that were making videos, aren't on any of these phone calls anymore. They're not showing up for this stuff so they fell by the wayside. And so it's very small. I mean, whether the pandemic and the vaccine is going to open up this floodgate, I hope not. I mean, there's a part that you want to have other people you can relate to and talk to, but you also don't want people to go through torture. But for the people who have gone through it, this Stasi program is what they call it. There's a German word, Zertizung, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but they use it. And the purpose of all this, whether it's gang stalking, all this electronic harassment, is to make you to lose your self-confidence, to break your self-confidence, your will. And it throws all these weird things at you. Like, what did I do? It's to break your religious beliefs, any beliefs, anything, the people that your friends that you think you can rely on, trust, they did this evidently during World War II, and now America is trying to perfect it by Operation Paperclip, bringing those German spies and scientists over, and kind of learn from there. And anyway, it's to break your self-confidence, whether it's what you believe, that part. And I didn't know my side pain. I didn't know they put something actually like a biosensor. It sends a little electrical charge, but it's literally done on purpose. It wasn't an accidental. It was done on purpose to see the effects of radiation. I didn't know our government did that. I knew they did some stuff back in the day. But after the church committee and all that, you think they'd wake up, and with the internet, but they're trying to see how far they can go with stuff. This type of corruption in the age of the internet. They're trying to see how far they can go. If they can still have as much control over people through bribery or blackmail by getting all this information and DNA and read synthetic telepathy to be able to blackmail people. It's like, yeah, I can work with this person because I got this and this on that person. So I don't know. But when they do that, it takes away a big part of your feelings, your actual emotions. Now, I had gone through years the side thing. It's painful. It's just like, but I just thought it was something that I could fix through another or some. I didn't know what it was, but then to find out it was actually a biosensor implanted on purpose. And they've turned it off a few times, and it made my real emotions come through instant, like within 2 seconds, just like you could feel it, like imagines, and then something, oh, it feels wonderful. And it's like, that's who I really am supposed to be. That's what I'm supposed to feel normal, like that. That's normal all the time. But when they do it to you after an operation, and then they just slowly make it worse. And before you know it, it's like a frog in a hot boiling kettle. It's just, you don't know. It just slides into, you just know for years, you just know this isn't right. This isn't right, and you're trying to make up, well, what is it? This is not how other people are. Because the doctors or hospitals or the people in city halls or wherever, they don't tell you. You're left to live in your depression, trying to find it through medical needs, and nobody's telling you the real truth. It wasn't until I went to the Yellow Free rally and saw the internet, and Havana syndrome was all over the news. It's like, oh, and then they started in 2015, they started the voice thing. I thought somebody was playing a cruel joke. I had no enemies, but it's like, oh, this is a name, and there's a name for the people going through it, target individuals. The thing on my side actually does have a name. It's a directed energy weapon, but it's an implanted one. A directed energy weapon. It's a weapon. It's directing energy. Energy is something you can't see. It's like wireless. It's like you can see a laser, but it's the opposite of like a missile. A missile is something you can see, like a rock. You can see it, projectile. Directed energy is something that can be wireless, and you don't see it or hear it. It just is directed, and it's energy, and it can be used in a bad way, like a weapon. And whether it's, a laser or a microwave, using those the energy from microwaves, like waves to sound waves, or light to blind somebody, or sound to make somebody deafening pain, or heat, or just electronic pulse. Remember microwave pulse, all that Havana syndrome? That constant current going near your heart, it blocks your emotions, that little area, to where you can't feel it. And you're like, where's my emotions? It wasn't until they turned it off for like a few hours every time, for about 12 different times. It's like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to feel. And so I'm putting this out there in case, as if you don't have this, and chances are, if you're watching, you don't. But for a small percentage of people that the government is experimenting on, this will ring true. They're going to be, oh, that does. Because I went years wondering, what is this? Just thinking about it all the time, studying religion, theology, trying to do a spiritual approach. But there's a lot of books out there. Dr. Nicholas Begich. There's just a lot of books on target individuals, directed energy weapons. There's the directed energy weapons caucus, part of our government. Shareholders and all that. It's our government. This is what in the 80s Reagan was called Star Wars, the Space Force. Now it's taking people, and if they can, it's just using cell towers, with the FBI, and using our local police. And of all things, the people that you want to help you are the people that you go to, and they get paid, or we're just following orders. And I'm pro hospital, pro police, pro, doctors, of course. But when you go through something for over 30 years, and I'm talking about. So anyway, I just wanted to let this know in case people do find this out there, that they can have a starting point. For most people, if they aren't a TI, it sounds crazy. It sounds like nuts, but it's like, it's just, if it's not being done to you, it's going to sound nutty. So, but for the small percentage of people that this has happened to, the government does this sometimes to people. They do have ways, like a ventriloquist, using technology to throw sound to make a person think that something over there, or somebody's yelling at them or cussing at them, or somebody's breaking in your house and there's nobody there. It's just they can throw sounds and scare a person. So anyway, I'm going to go. My mom's going to be home. I'm going to make her dinner. So I'll talk to you later, okay? Okay. I got it. End, cancel, and end stream. There.